Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Ferrari 360 Modena. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. I really hope you enjoy it. And if you like this kind of content with my personal cars, a Ferrari 360 Modena and a couple of AMG Mercedes, plus some random reviews, it'd be great to have you as a subscriber. So in this video, we're going to take the Ferrari out on a bit of a road trip, just drive out into some country roads, have a bit of a meander around, have a bit of a chat. And we're going to set up the POV camera so you can get a feel for what it's like to drive this beautiful looking car. So let's go. So here we are, driving the Ferrari 360 on a public holiday in Australia. So I've got to be a bit careful because we have these things called double demerit points on public holiday weekends. So I've got to be a bit careful, but I thought I'd just bring the 360 out to a nice country road. This is Galston Road. Goes down through a nice twisty road through Galston Gorge. So I thought I'd take the Ferrari out on a public holiday just to kind of get away from the city, and I thought I could have a little chat to you about, you know, the ownership experience of having the Ferrari and what I think of it, and yeah, just kind of chew the fat really. Kind of free-form video, nothing really planned to say, just enjoy the view, enjoy the POV cameras, and yeah, let's go. So my history with this car, for those of you who are new to the channel, is that I bought it back in December 2019, and I'd had some really bad luck with my previous car, my previous supercar if you like, which was an Audi R8, which had suffered some damage in a flood that had happened in our garage, and I wanted to try and sell that car, but it caused a lot of difficulties trying to sell it because of the history, and so I ended up having to take a huge loss on that car. And I also sold my CL65 at the same time and lost a shed load of money on that as well. I couldn't see myself keeping that R8 after the experience of the damage. It was always tainted in my mind, and I just had to move it on. Had too many bad memories associated with it, and I moved it on and lost a lot of money, but I decided that the time was right to scratch the Ferrari itch. And Scuderia Graziani, which is a fantastic exotic car dealership in Sydney, had this 360 in stock at the time, and I was really smitten with it because I'd wanted a Ferrari since I was this high. And I should have probably purchased a Ferrari initially when I bought the Maserati Gran Turismo and I started this channel, because I think I probably wasted more money getting to this point than I would have done if I had actually just bought a Ferrari at the start. But anyway, that's all in the past now, it's history, so there's no point in agonizing about that. We are where we are now, and I have a 360. As you know from my previous videos on this car, it needed quite a bit of work doing to it. It needed basically a new gearbox and differential. Part of that was my fault for not spotting the fact that there was coolant in the oil, and that caused the differential to basically collapse and needed to be replaced. And also there were synchro problems in the gearbox, so I was lucky to find a salvage 360 which had less than 25,000 kilometers on it, so much newer than this one, and I was able to transplant that into this car. Various other things done in the first few months of ownership, so it stung me pretty badly, and obviously that's one of the risks you take with purchasing an older Italian exotic. But that said, I'm now in a car which is really well sorted. I'm slowly putting it back into a nice stock position. I originally had, as you know, it originally had this crazy Capristo exhaust, which I didn't particularly enjoy. It was too loud, and now I'm back on a stock exhaust. I've also changed the ride height back to stock, which is much more practical for getting it into the garage and into parking stations and over speed bumps and stuff like that. But slowly I'm putting it into really good condition, so I'm hoping that it will be an asset that, if it doesn't appreciate, will at least hold its value. Oh, look at this lovely single track wooden bridge here. There we go. Galston Gorge. Very bumpy. Tick. So the Ferrari 360 is really in that trough between, as depreciation kind of slows, but before classic value starts to increase. So the 355, which is this car's predecessor, has started climbing out of that trough on the other side. In fact, has increased in value quite a lot now, way more expensive than a 360. The 430, which is this car's successor, is still heading down the depreciation trough. Is still heading down the depreciation side of the curve. So the 360 is really in the bottom. It's the cheapest modern Ferrari that you can buy, and it really has to be the bargain of the century, I think. You know, you can still pick them up for less than $150,000, which for a reasonably modern Ferrari is an absolute bargain, really. I mean, 430s are still high 100s, low 200s. A well-sorted 355 is going to be in the 200s plus. So, and then if you want anything more approachable in terms of cost, you have to look back at things like the Mondial and the 308s, which are really old cars now. You know, they're 40 years old, 40, 50 years old. So they are an even more daunting prospect to own than this car. So if you want to get into a modern Ferrari at the lowest price, it has to be the 360. So I think it has potential to increase in value over the next 3 to 5 years if I hold on to it, keep it well maintained. Don't drive it too much that it gets, you know, crazy mileage on it. So despite the money I've spent on this car, I think it's still, if not an investment, it will hold its value better than most cars, and certainly better than the Maserati Gran Turismo or the Audi R8, which would both continue to depreciate quite rapidly, I think. So when I first got this car, I was a little bit intimidated by the attention that it brought, but now I'm kind of becoming more comfortable and confident with that. Generally, it's a positive kind of attention. It's not like people are snarky about it or resentful. I think, you know, some supercars, you know, mentioning no names, Lamborghini, can be a little bit obnoxious, and I think you've got to be a bit careful of not provoking that kind of unpleasant attention. But this car is so beautiful to look at, and kind of feminine. It's not aggressive, masculine. I see Lamborghinis as being more aggressive and masculine, whereas this has feminine curves and feels less aggressive. And I think it just, yeah, people really like it. And nobody has any idea that it's 20 years old. People are generally shocked when I say, you know, it's 20 years old, because it doesn't look doesn't look 20 years old, it looks fresh. Also finding that it is much more user-friendly now that I've deleted that Capristo exhaust, and I've also adjusted the ride height. It feels more like a usable car. Before that, it was very much a car that you had to steel yourself to take out, and it was a struggle to take it out because it was such an intense kind of experience. You're always worrying about scraping the bottom, you're worried where you could drive, you're also worried about the noise that it made and, you know, pissing people off. Now it's had the Capristo delete and the ride height adjusted, it feels more usable. Certainly isn't a daily driver, but is certainly more usable than it was. Yeah, so I don't tend to drive it as much as you might think. It's very much a weekend car. You know, I'll take it out for a spin on a Sunday, or if we go somewhere, just the two of us, we'll take this. But it's not a car that I use a lot. It's very much more of a special occasions car. And that's fine. I've got my C63, which is my daily driver, and if I want to go on a long trip and take a classic, you know, I'll take the SL55, which is, you know, it's incredibly comfortable and has reasonably decent luggage space as well. So and that's a very comfortable car to go long distances. The next thing that's coming up with this car will be in early 2021, when I will need to obviously get the annual service done. Things that it might need doing at that point are probably brakes. So that might be expensive, but I'm saving up for that already. But apart from that, it's not been long since it had the gearbox replaced and everything else, so obviously oils have been changed, coolant's been changed at that time, so hopefully shouldn't require too much doing. So anyway, we're nearly home, so hope you've enjoyed this little trip. So thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you got a great idea of what it's like to have a drive in this Ferrari 360. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to smash that like. It'd be great to have you as a subscriber. Hit that notification bell. You can follow me on Instagram down here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.